Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
All right, let's get into this, man. New opponent, new UFC contract. Tell us how it all happened, man.
Well, honestly, I've been under the anticipation of a fight for probably like 2, 3 months now. Ran through maybe 5, 6 different opponents. Somebody got injured. Somebody didn't accept. Another one also injured. Duncan, we had that fight set, and then he pulled out. I think he had staph or something like that. So yeah, it's been an adventure to get this fight, but Markel Madero stepped up. He's a game opponent, and that's it. We're here. UFC Denver, July 13th. Let's get it.
So, did you sign a new contract with this new opponent? Is that what happened?
No, I signed a new 4 or 5 fight deal with the UFC,
Mm,
and the following contract that came in on the same day at the same time was Chris Duncan for
okay.
UFC Denver, July 13th. So because I signed for that date, um, I'm still on that date. But
Mm,
because Duncan pulled out, they had to find somebody new. Madero stepped up. So
yes.
3 weeks out, that's the fight that's taking place.
Well, you get a little bit more cheese, man. That's good for you, man. That's good. That's good to hear.
Of course, man. Listen, the game is tough as is. So when you get these nice contracts, you move up. You see the progress in your pay, in your contracts. Of course, it feels good. It allows you to literally. This is the first time in my life. Like last year was the first time in my life. Not even more recently. After the second bonus was the first time in my life where I actually get to be an MMA fighter, not a fighter that also has to hustle and make money and do this and that. You're literally gonna see my best years coming up now, God willing, because I'm able to focus solely on training. I get to invest in training camp. It's still expensive. It's still pricey over here. I'm here in Vegas right now, doing a lot of things here. My good friend Hussein right now is setting up a elevation tent, to adjust to the altitude and all that stuff. So it's been pricey, but listen, I can afford it now, and I get to focus on solely my career, and I get to give the martial arts my everything now. It's not a part time thing for me anymore. It's not something that I have to put in second, third place because there's other things I have to handle to be able to survive. Now you're gonna see the best version of me. You're gonna see the best years are here, and they're up ahead.
All right, let's get into the opponent, Maderos. Completely different style, I believe, against if you put him against Chris Duncan, right? So, what do you think of him in the style?
I think he has a slick style. I think he's a hustler. I think he works. He doesn't do anything I haven't seen before, but he does work. He has strong suits. He's constantly switching stances, always trying to confuse you. But I have answers for everything, John. I have answers for when I prepare. I don't necessarily prepare for a certain opponent. I literally prepare to be the best well-rounded fighter I can possibly be, and have answers for anything. It's the game of MMA. It's a game of many tools, and that's something I have. I have many tools, many ways that this fight can end. So whether it would be Medeiros or Duncan, these guys can get finished in multiple ways, and I'm always looking for the finish. So it's gonna be more of the same, but I believe that I will be more calculated, and you'll see the same aggression, the same the bonus hunter, the finish hunter, but uh, just more seasoned and smarter. The experience I got in 2023 going to wars with those guys, man, it gave me so much experience. Like people, it takes them like 5 years sometimes in the UFC to get the experience that I got in just 3 fights. So you're gonna see the best version of me, July 13th.
Yeah, let's get into that. Last one, man. Very chaotic fight against Slava Claus. I mean, he's one of the most gamest dudes you can fight. How did you feel about that fight? How did you feel about how that fight played out?
Of course, I can criticize myself on the mistakes I've made. Took a lot more shots than I would have liked to. Didn't keep him down when I wanted to. When I know I can. Threw my game plan to the window a little bit because I was playing to the crowd. MSG, they got me hyped up. They were very excited with the exchanges we were having. So, like, game plan went out the window. But again, I got that one out of my system. I got the craziness out of my system. And now the sole purpose is to win and do it in spectacular fashion. So, like I said, it's going to be more of more. I'm not. I didn't. I'm not necessarily reconstructing my entire game, but I'm just making everything sharper, better, and using the IQ that I do have. Contrary to what people were saying when that night came to a close. Oh, Nazim had bad fight IQ. I take that criticism with ease, and I'm just gonna show everybody that that's not the case, and that's it. Just put it all together and let it align on the night, and people will see.
Yeah, the fight ended in a draw, right? Do you think there should be a sudden death round in MMA so there is a winner?
I wouldn't be against it. I mean, uh, sudden death round sounds sick. It's kind of like K1, right? The K1 to do sudden death round. I like those. I wouldn't mind them. I'm not against them. I can make a case for why I thought I won just because it's a game of MMA. I mixed in the takedowns. I did miss. I did eat a lot of shots. I'm not gonna lie. Like Slavokov is world class. He's as good as they come. I gave him his dues then. I'm giving him his dues now. He's a incredible opponent. Heart of a lion, technical, as good as it gets. World champion kickboxer. I stood in front of a world champion kickboxer. Nearly put him away. Um, Mixed it up. Could have mixed it up better. Could have done better in the transitions. But like I said, you live and you learn, and I would be open to sudden death rounds. I can see why I can make a case for why I thought I won that fight, but I can also it's hard to be mad at a draw. It was close. There were exchanges back and forth. He had his moments. I had mine. So it's hard to argue a draw in a fight like that. But I can make a case for why I won. I don't know. It's like it's still mixed opinion. Like all this time later, it's still mixed opinion. I rewatched the fight and I don't know. It's just a joy to watch it every time. My striking coach Eric Heyer sent me photos today. They were playing it at some bar in New York, and like people were like he was telling me like people were watching that like it's live, and that brings me joy that we had that kind of fight. So I'm not mad.
Uh,
It is what it is. I left it in the past. I
mhm.
learned from it. I took it for what it was, and I'm just learning, growing. I'm just trying to be the best I can every single time I step out there.
Well, almost all your fights have been action. Well, all your fights have been action packed so far, and that's why they probably put you in Denver as well, in front of a crowd, another crowd, right? Because they know that you're one of those guys now. You're one of those guys that has to fight in front of a crowd. There's no apex.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Apex was one of, dude. I'm telling you, right now. I don't really want to talk about it. I'm locked into this next fight, but I went through so many different venues. I went through so many different opponents in the last few months, just trying to get a fight, and things are not falling through, and this and that. So Apex was one of the events. I was almost up for what was it, the 15th or I was also Newark was also a possibility. Louisville was a possibility, and I think and Apex on the 15th was a possibility. For me, man, I just want to get going. I just want to show my skills, show my talent, and show my hard work. So it doesn't really matter if I end up back in the Apex. Listen, I'll only be happy because the Apex has its benefits also. So arena Apex, I'm ready to go anywhere, but the crowd always spices things up.
For sure. And you're in Vegas. I believe you started your camp in New York with your team. Now you're in Vegas. Is it for the elevation? So you could kind of get used to that.
It's for both. It's for multiple reasons. I mix it all up always. I'm always back and forth. Like people always like they can't even keep up at this point. Like where is he? Is he in New York? Is he in Vegas? Because I really am back and forth. Uh, Vegas does have elevation, and we've been going to the mountains here, so that's even more elevation. So yeah, man, that's one big reason why. Then the PI is here also. Recovery is much easier and stuff. So yeah, man, mixing up those two is it does wonders.
How gritty has it been going to the mountains and training up there?
Honestly, man, I'm a wolf, and all they're doing is simply letting me back home. I don't feel, I honestly, it's weird to say maybe or whatever, but I feel better. with that elevation, with that pressure of the thin air and all that stuff. I just can't wait, man. I'm just doing all these things that they talk about, like training in the chamber rooms and mountains and all this stuff. I believe I'll be ready regardless, but it's only gonna help if I train at elevation. So for me, it's like just another challenge with this fight. But to be honest, man, I felt great in those mountains. I feel great in those mountains. There goes that elevation machine. So I've been feeling great, brother. And July 13th, like elevation will not be a factor. I have grenades in these hands. So there's no elevation that can save anybody.
Yeah, you know the tent, right? Are you sleeping at it in it at night? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, yeah. So sleeping at night. Tomorrow morning we go to the mountains again. I might stay in the mountains for a few nights. Also during the rest of this camp. Just and I'm gonna go to Denver. Maybe early or maybe super late. I haven't really decided that yet. But yeah, I mean, I don't really feel the difference like that, but I can understand why. Like there is a certain something like I feel why people make a big deal about it. But I think it's all up here. You know, I think most of it is up here. So July 13th. I guess let's see, but I'll be ready.
Yeah, and the PI, man, how have you utilized them for this camp? Because you are in Las Vegas.
Dude, recovery, cafeteria, always having options of food, healthy food, the dietitians, the S&C coaches. Man, I a lot of people have been moving here. I don't know how the whole world hasn't moved here. Vegas is incredible. The PI is incredible. It's just I don't know, man. It's and like mixing New York, mixing Longo with this is like I don't know, man. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. That's all. I really that's all I can say. Like this place is a blessing. Training in Vegas is a blessing. Mixing it with Ray Longo is also a blessing. So like, it's the best of both worlds.
The perfect mix for you at this moment, right?
Yes, yes. Like what I noticed, like later in people's careers when they're established and stuff, they tend to go to Florida. Unless you're like American top team guy, like coming up or whatever. But like Usman, I've seen him go to Florida. Like just a bunch of vets, they go to Florida where the weather is nice and all this. That's a good state. And earlier in their careers, they're like either in Vegas or in some other state. That's kind of looking like the direction I would take. I would like to do something like that in my life and in my career. Like it's New York and Vegas, and then maybe later in my career or something it'd be Florida. I'm not sure. Like I know that Vegas is going to be in my near future. I'm going to be utilizing this place for the next while for sure.
Nice, man. And what kind of fight are you expecting? I think this fight's gonna look a little different than your previous fights because this guy, his style is a little bit, a little bit more grappling heavy compared to your previous opponents. What is your outlook on it?
Would you think so? Would you think he's more grappling heavy than McKinney? Would you think that he would shoot and have the wrestling capability of McKinney? McKinney is a great wrestler. Um, wrestling doesn't intimidate me. Like people see me putting people away with hands and doing damage on the feet and stuff, so they qualify me as a striker. Man, I'll only be glad. Like if somebody wants to mix it up in grappling and wrestling, I'd only be glad to show that part of my game. I shoot takedowns my side, take people down as well. Yeah, I like I said, I just strive to be the perfect MMA fighter. Uh, it's always like it's a never ending process. You're always looking to grow in every area. So every camp I'm just trying to be the best I can possibly be everywhere. So um is it do I think it's gonna be grappling heavy? I think if we get into some exchanges, he eats some shots, I think he will try to grapple. I'll be ready for everything, bro. Honestly, I'm ready for everything. That's why it's an exciting fight because I'm ready to put the fight away wherever it goes. So I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
All right, I got a couple more questions about the lightweight division since you are a lightweight in the UFC. McGregor Chandler, does it ever happen, man? Does it ever happen?
I don't know, man. I think Connor's. I think he looked good in training. I'm not gonna lie. He looked good in training. I was surprised. I really thought that he was looking like heavy in recent times. Like he looks like just got too muscly, too big for fighting. But he's been looking good in training. Does it ever happen? I mean, it's literally all up to McGregor. If he
Mm,
decides to and he can and he's physically fit, he will. If not, then am I going to be mad at him? No, he's changed the game of MMA. He's changed his family's life and his own life forever. So who can really be mad at him? He's an OG in the game.
for sure, man, for sure. And the last one is Islam Makhachev, right? He's doing incredible things right now at the moment. Would you consider him a better overall fighter than Habib, or do you feel like he'll never become that, or what does he have to do to become that?
I think Habib's why he was so special was
Mm,
his pressure and his unorthodoxness. Like his angles, his approach, the way he moved his head as he's pressing you. Like you can't find timing on him. Even Poirier said it. He's like he had like weird striking. It was hard to find your timing, hard to find your shot on him. And then boom, next fraction of a second, he's in on your leg, and he's chain wrestling, and he's super strong, and he's a great grappler. I think Islam Makhachev is like more of a textbook fighter. He has good striking. He does all the right things on the ground. He does all the right things in the wrestling. But I think what separates Habib from everybody and anybody else in the sport was his pressure and the way he was able to just walk through everything, or not be there for your combinations, for your biggest shots, but then be in on your leg when you're least expected, or even when you're expecting it, he's still going to get his way, and he's going to
mm.
chain into single into double, double into single, and he's going to get his way and take you down. So I think that's what made him more special than anybody else.
July 13th, man, you get to do some special things in that octagon in Denver, man. Nazim, thank you so much,
The
man, for the
journey.
time. And yeah, the journey continues. That's right, man. Appreciate you. And yeah, man, we're going to be doing a lot of these. So I guess people got to get used to it.
Yes, yes, my bro. It's my pleasure. I'm happy to speak to you every time, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.